Oi, I know I'm a little bit early. Just want to give a couple of minutes for the notifications to go out. Dan is flying solo today. Grab your wife, protect your children. Dan is in the house. We're live from Lahug, Cebu, Philippines. Well, the background music is way in the background this morning, and I don't have my headset on yet. I've got things to do, places to go, so I thought that I would make myself as comfortable as possible today, not wear all the headgear, see how I do with just using the standard laptop equipment. I could always throw on the headphones if I need to, or if we're picking up too much background noise, I might throw on the headphones. I got them right here, they're just not plugged in. See? I'm wearing my official Clark t-shirt, Clark Air Force Base, that Adrian sold me when we were in Angeles City. Adrian in the morning, you know, the one that does the shout out on some of the YouTube channels, he stopped me and said, hey, I did that shout out for you. Buy a t-shirt. Of course I will, Adrian. I'll buy two. So that's the story of that. Okay, so let's get this live stream underway. So here's what happened to me last night. All right, so 2:00 in the morning, I wake up and I could hear myself screaming. Now, Ma'am Minnie lying right next to me, of course, she didn't hear this. But I woke up from a dream, but I can't recall the dream. You know how you can, usually I could recall the dream. Usually I remember it, and sometimes I could recall it over the course of a few hours after I wake up. This time, there was nothing. I just woke up screaming, and I heard myself scream. That's probably what caused me to wake up. Now, this wouldn't be the first time that I've actually acted out and became vocal during a dream. No, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I'm always vocal that way. I'm talking about when I'm dreaming, when I'm in a I'm knocked out. That's what I'm talking about. So from about 2:30, maybe 3:00 in the morning, I tried to get myself to go back to sleep. And sometimes I do that by turning on the TV and watching your YouTube channels and the like. And somebody was conducting, I think it was Filipino Raquel, I'm not exactly sure, right? But somebody was conducting a raid on Minnie's, on her latest short, where she's playing with that Gucci, you know. And I was thinking to myself, you know, I got a great group of supporters, you know, absolutely fantastic. I just wanted to take a moment to say how much I appreciate you guys and how much I'm very undeserving of the support. I could tell you that, very undeserving, but I appreciate it, and I appreciate your time. Maybe I'm deserving of the support. I don't know. Some of you may think that I am, and others may think, God, Dan, you know, Dan's just full of hot air. Most of the time I am. So that brings us to the disclaimer that whatever we discuss today, it's my opinion only. Do not do anything that Dan suggests that that works for him. Does not mean that whatever I'm doing will work for you. I think it's important to say that so that we're clear. And then also, by the way, oh, Tim's in the house. Tim Deziak did another Walking Street video, and I I enjoy it so much. I enjoy the music. I enjoy the way that he doesn't focus on any one person, but he's moving. That he's doing a rapid cam. He's doing Walking Street cam, so he doesn't get in trouble. He doesn't want to point the camera at one individual and say, "Hey, your wife is looking for you." You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Nor does he want to point it towards one of the, one or two of the gals that might have to be working there through no fault of their own because they have tremendous amounts of economic need to support their family. So anyway, I want you to go in there, take a look at Tim's video, the latest one on Walking Street. Watch it 20 or 30 times. I did. What's the harm? What's the harm? Watch it 20 or 30 times. Mike, married to a beautiful woman, is here. Naomi's here. Anna Mae, and is almost always the first to share it out. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that support. I know that I could always count on you and others in here to share it out, but you're always on top of it first. How do you do that? Oh, you have a small child. That's right. So you're up. You're up at all hours of the early morning and the evening, But anyway, something did catch my attention. I was a little bit frightened when I saw it. By the way, we're going to talk about the Leonard situation in a moment. But Naomi had posted, she had posted something online that I caught on Facebook that shows, I believe it's her child that has a very, very high fever, a very high temperature. And I mean, it's scary when it gets that high. So I just want to check in with you, Naomi, to make sure everything is okay. And to let you know if you need anything, all you have to do is private message me. And that's all it takes. So I just want to make sure your baby or your loved one is in good shape and that temperature is going down. A lot of people don't think about this, but Moelma's here. Hi, Moelma. Edward D. Beck, the Mac Daddy, is in the house. Thanks for coming. Oh, by the way, I just want to talk about this for a second. Edward, we're friends. We're really good friends, right? So after the stream, we made contact with each other right away, and everything is just fine. It's just another day in our lives, But I started to think about something. I shared this with Edward, that he's such an interesting guy, and I really don't know. It's not a bromance. It's not like that. You know what I mean? I mean, if something bad were to happen, Edward, I probably would shed a tear. But thing is, it's not a bromance. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. But we do have a connection. There's no denying that. And so, of course, right after the stream, we made contact with each other right away. And had a beautiful conversation. We got plans coming up where we're going to be doing a live stream together or an interview or something's going to happen there. Because I started to realize I really, really don't know that much about him, but he's such an intelligent and interesting man that I want to know more about him. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna explore those possibilities of how we present to you, as much as we can on YouTube. Who is the myth behind the legend? Did I say that right? No, I probably did. Anyway, we got Anime. Ben Barry's here. Ben, you're like some kind of a rocket scientist, bro. I mean, where did you come from? I mean, you and I we're like thinkers, We're like thinkers, and that's a little bit scary. Scary for this audience out here. I guarantee it, Ben. Crystal's is here. And Naomi is saying, yes, indeed, Sir Dan. She has fever, and it's now 38.2, unlike earlier. She doesn't want to eat something. Yeah, so here's the thing, right? My usual, keep her cool. Obviously, you're doing that. And the other thing is electrolytes. Electrolytes do not, and you already know this because you're very bright. You're very intelligent. So you know that dehydration is the enemy for a small child. So that's Buco juice, Gatorade, electrolytes over the counter at your local pharmacy. And let me know if you need anything, and I'll be right there for you. All right. Oh, no, no, no. We're not using the love word. What is the matter with you, Beck? What is the matter? Thanks for sharing that, Pinky Gray. So Pinky Gray, so it's just like, she's hitting it hard on those live streams. She's entertaining, she's singing it out. If you haven't gone into Pinky Gray's live streams, then you're missing out on something fantastic, because her goodwill, her happiness, her enthusiasm for life, it transfers right through your computer screen, right through your device, right through your device, into your home, into your head, into your heart. And so you need to go on an exploration, and don't ever miss Pinky Gray's live streams. So I don't know if you know the Pinky Gray story or not. But here's how we got to know Pink. Here we are in Sacramento. Dan had retired, and I'm sitting there. And I'm going, okay, I got to find something to do. And I turn on Pinky Gray, and I get so excited. I go, this is fantastic! This is fantastic! And so basically, Pinky Gray was live streaming at night. I believe she still does. It's early morning in Sacramento, California. The timing was perfect. So I get up in the morning, and usually I'd be muling Mam Minnie to work because she was still working at the time. And we'd put on a pot of coffee, and we'd be sitting there. And Minnie would have maybe a half hour, 45 minutes before going to work that she could sit there with me and enjoy Pinky Gray. Pinky Gray, she became like family to us almost immediately, and we started reaching out to her because we were both like, oh, we need to know her. We need her. And we have since met Pinky Gray in person, of course, since then in Manila, and we hope to do it again. Oh, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Pink. And so you'll go in there and you'll see what I mean. There was at one point, I think she's up to, I don't know, are you pushing 20K followers yet or subscribers, Pink? Anyway, go in there and find out. I consider Pinky Gray family, friends, and forever, lifetime friends. As I do most of you, by the way. Larry Lee is here. Larry Lee. Jay Lynn. Jay Lynn is here. Crystal's adventure. It's always an adventure with crystals hanging around, that's for sure. Always an exciting adventure. And I'm going to take a sip of my instant coffee here. So the rest of the story about waking up, almost in a cold sweat. I mean, that's how bad it was. Me screaming. I started thinking, what was that all about? What was that all about? And I could have very well have stopped breathing in my sleep, and my body, was reacting, saying, "Wake up, wake up, wake up," because I remember that it was something. There was something, that I recall, although I can't recall the exact reading, that said, "You're not breathing. Quick, wake up." And then I woke up screaming, and I remember when I was screaming, I took a big gulp of air, and I just let it out. It was just like kind of like that, kind of like making that horrible noise, cavernous noise that you don't ever want to be in the room when Dan makes. Yeah, nor do you want to be around when the other thing happens too. Anytime air has to escape or it has to inhale, you just don't want to be around Dan when that happens. I do the best I can protecting Mam Mini from it all. I really do. Moama's here. Moama, what would a live stream be without you guys in the house? So the gang's all here. Mike, hey Joe, Buena Vista Dreamin' from the Valley of the Hose is in the house. That would be Vallejo. And by the way, I was telling Mike that my grad school coordinator, he passed away about a year and a half ago, but my grad school coordinator was the former police chief of Vallejo. And of course, that opened the door to a conversation that I don't want to get you guys involved with. But we used to call Vallejo is I guess it's the suburbs of San Francisco. You have to go over a couple of bridges from San Francisco and you get into Vallejo. Maybe it's an hour and 15-minute drive from Sacramento. But yeah, if you're going to make that straight shot into San Francisco, you got to pass Vallejo. So every time we pass Vallejo, of course, they used to call Vallejo the Valley of the Hose. Why is that? Well, they have a crime problem there. Mike sort of seemed to indicate they still have a crime problem there, but basically, they had a pretty well established stroll there in Vallejo. And all the cops are on the take. No, no, no. Listen, Vallejo police officers, we know how dedicated you are to keeping the crime rate down. So dedicated are you that we know where to find you between 8 and 10 in the morning, most mornings. All right, so yeah, let's get on to Leonard Lund. So uh, I've been communicating with one of his friends, and they are beside themselves as much as any of you are. And Mac Daddy had pointed out in the last live stream that the green light has gone out on the messenger, and nobody's been able to contact them. And you know, people that are closest to Leonard have not been able to contact him either. And so we're stuck. We're stuck. We don't know what to do. No one knows what to do. I tried to do a cursory Google search to see if I could locate him, and I've discovered who his former wife is, but I don't want to disturb her. And I may have even come across his phone numbers, his actual cell phone numbers. But in the event that they don't belong to him, I don't want to disturb the person that those phone numbers belong to. So I mean, it's a very difficult situation. But Leonard, when I go and do a cursory search, he's moved around so much recently that I can't really tell. In Texas, even in Texas, I think he's moved a few times, and so I can't really tell. First of all, Leonard Lund, believe it or not, it's a fairly common name, and so it gets a little bit, you know, um, gets a little bit difficult trying to figure out if you've got the same Leonard Lund, or you've got you've got a plethora of other Leonard Lunds um, that are not the Leonard that we know and love, and so that's where it's at. And so it's very disturbing, and I know that you guys are all worried, but I, other than calling up all the hospitals in the Houston area, I'm not sure we'd be able to find, and assume that he's been taken to one of them. I don't know what else we can do. He's just going to have to show up here, or in Larry's stream or somebody's live stream, and tell us what happened. But I do know this much, right? I do know this much, Jalen, and that is that he waited for 4 hours. Now, the word that I have now, and it may not be true, so I'm just telling you what I've heard, and it's all rumor until it comes out of Leonard's mouth. But basically, from what I heard, he actually waited 4 hours before summoning help. And you know what? I kind of understand. I kind of understand that. And the reason is because I've been in a couple of situations myself where I've delayed getting assistance because I thought that I was capable of handling it, And so a lot of people probably you don't know, but I haven't talked much about it. But I did have a minor neurological event. They're not sure exactly if it was a stroke or not, and so it does cause my um, speech. It does interfere with my speech, and I also notice that the thoughts don't make it down when I do want to speak about something specific, especially when I'm trying to, spit out something that might sound a little bit witty. When I'm trying to be witty, for some reason, it does not make the neurological pathway from the brain to the lips. And so if you actually look closely, you can see that one side of my face. You could take a guess on what side of the face fell during this neurological event, this stroke. So the neurologist, after they run all the tests and everything, just says, "Hey, what do I know? I'm only a rocket scientist, Dan. I don't have the answers. We can't find anything." And that a lot of that stuff has been going around. They can't find anything wrong. And oftentimes, as you know, living here in the Philippines, you go to the doctor, and or you'll see the nurse practitioner, and they're gonna tell you the same thing. They're gonna say, "Hey, I have no idea what's going on. I'm only a human being. I've run all the tests that I can think of to run, and we can't find a thing. But it wouldn't hurt for you to lose a few pounds." That's usually the answer I get. So anyway, that's the story that happened to myself. And so I've been in situations where I'm like, man, I don't want to call for help. I don't want to call for help. I'll just ride it out. And that is stupid. That's stupid when you're in the States. It makes sense when you're here in the Philippines. But in the States, help is only a 911 phone call away. And now I know here in the Philippines, they're starting to adopt the 911 system. For example, they have it in Davao. They have it. I saw it in Pangasinan visiting crystals. I saw the 911 on the side of the truck. They're trying to, they're trying to put in a 911 system. So that's a good thing. Help could get to you quicker. Yeah, that's right, Beck. That's right, Beck. Why did you have to actually put it in, plain English there, so everyone would know that I'm talking about? Oh, okay. Yeah, so make sure she doesn't have pneumonia or respiratory. That's the most important thing. And for us elderly, I've been delaying getting my pneumonia shot this season. When all I have to do is walk across the street. You see how we can be sometimes? It's so stupid. All I have to do is walk across the street, and they will inject me with a pneumonia vaccine. You know. Anyway, got that right with the hose. That's what Mike says. See, well, I wasn't necessarily. I wasn't making fun of you personally, Mike. I was kind of like giving him a historical, uh, you know, perspective of the city of Vallejo. Uh, I'm not sure it got his name. It got its name because it was known as the Valley of the Hose, and so they just sort of shortened it up. I'm not sure that happened, but anyway, I don't know the history. But Vallejo was home to Mare Island, which was the shipbuilding yard, and it provided jobs for thousands of people at one point. And they closed it down. Of course, it devastated the local economy, and some could argue that it's never recovered since the closing down of Mare Island, which happened what, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? I'm not even sure. Dan, do you have sleep apnea? Do you need a CPAP? Yeah, I got one of them machines. But up in the closet it sits in Bye Bye City Leyte. Up in the closet it sits. What are you going to do for the man? What are you going to do for the man? You could buy him books, send him to school, and then Dan still doesn't learn. So sometimes, it's just excuse me, hopeless. Let me hit this mute button for a second. Perfect timing on that. Perfect timing. Larisse is here. It's coffee and donut time, but not Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme over my dead body, Larisse. You know that. Yes. How many Krispy Kreme donuts did you have this morning, Larisse? Oh, dang. I'm jeopardizing my Dunkin' contract by even mentioning the name. Yeah, I hope they don't rewind this live stream and then figure out that I mentioned the K word, the KK word. So anyway, all right. So I wanted to talk about one other thing, right? Yes, the Leonard thing. There's nothing much. There's nothing much more that can be done. I mean, we just have to wait. We have to wait and see, what develops. Any information that I may come across on purpose or by accident, I'll certainly be sharing it with you. Send Jerry to look for him. Yeah, I think Jerry, how close are you to Houston? Are you too far south? Actually, I'd explain I'm geographically challenged. So that would mean that I have no idea where Houston, Texas is in relationship to where Jerry lives. No, except that I know that Jerry lives near a border crossing and puts out hella interesting videos, especially the train videos where he's showing it moving, underneath. I know that a lot of people probably have asked Jerry this. They probably have asked Jerry whether he's ever caught, Hobo Joe, not you, Mike, the other Hobo Joe, hanging on for dear life underneath a train. I don't know if that's fact fiction, storytelling, or fantasy. I don't know. Letty Me is here. Letty Me, welcome, welcome. I realize I'm behind in the chat, as usual. I just want to let you know I'm having a hell of a good time so far. Maybe Leonard said EFF this and is on his way to the Philippines. Yeah, well, you couldn't be. I mean, it's possible, except that the person that I've been chatting with is the one that was supposed to pick Leonard up at the airport, who has, they are beside themselves because there was a plan in place, evidently. And I mean, I don't know all the details of what was being planned, but I know that he was planning on heading this way. And so this person was his contact that was going to be providing assistance to him. I'm talking about assistance, making sure that he was picked up at the airport and he had proper care to get where he was going. I think he was headed for somewhere in the Manila area, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, so it could have happened, except for that missing piece of the puzzle that doesn't fit very well. They'd been communicating with the person, arranging for his care. Des is here. Hi, Des. How's your beautiful family? Jerry boy. Thanks again. I want to appreciate all 13 million people that are in the chat right now for coming. I really appreciate your time. Time is valuable. Even if you're in the BG, Retro Scorpion is in the house. Yeah, we'll be there soon. So we're packing right now. Man, Benny is busy packing. Listen, I don't want to cart everything back to bye-bye. As a matter of fact, Des, I'm glad you mentioned this return and home thing. So here's what's going on. I don't even want to take this computer back to bye bye. I would rather keep everything here, and then whatever's left back at the house and bye bye, I'll broadcast from there. From there, I'll do my live streams from there with whatever equipment's there. Otherwise, if that doesn't pan out, I got my phone. I got the cell phone. We got 2 or 3 different cell phones hanging around the house. All I got to do is grab one and go live, and then do my live streams there. But you guys have been very, very good about um, running the numbers up on those shorts, on those short videos. I don't even know how that works. I don't know if someone's been conducting a raid. All I know is I fall asleep at night with no views, and I wake up in the morning with hundreds of views. So however that works, um, thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know how that works. So, but you guys are. I know it. I know you guys are doing it. I know you in the chat are doing it some kind of way. I don't know how this YouTube thing works. All I know is it tends to snowball when you start getting likes and views. Then something happens with the YouTube algorithm, and apparently a few of you have the expertise in knowing how this thing works. And so, but rather, there's 1 or 2 of you that can be rather moody, at times. Noel Chavez is here. Noel, hi. Welcome, my friend. So it doesn't happen all the time, but I could see somebody sitting there in the church saying, let's let's give Dan a little bit of a push. He's pathetic. Here's Mike at Hey Joe Buena Vista. Funny, I've been telling my doctor I need heart function tested, and she just says my heart is okay, just asthma. And hey, yeah. Hey, be careful with those statins, man. And hey, I want you on a statin. No, no, I don't think you're doing that right. When I talked to you, didn't you say that? Yeah, screw that. Screw that whole statin thing. There's a cascading effect. There's a domino effect, as you know, Mike. Maybe we talked about it even, and you don't want to get involved in that. Oh, by the way, Mike's reminding me of something else. And that is that, folks, you got Brent over there at Beekeeper in Paradise, and I know he was going to make a run home back to the States to spend a few months. But so Brent, he's the beekeeper. He's growing honey, which means he's got to keep those bees happy so they're productive. And he had a few misfortunate things happen. He had some misfortunes, right? But he kept with it. He lost his hive maybe once, maybe 2 times. Go into his channel and take a look at his videos. Let's see. 911 in the Philippines is climb a coconut tree and yell through the jungle. Pretty much that's the way it works. I'm going to talk about something interesting that Minnie and I discovered on our walk that Edward's reminded me of. But let me finish the Brent story. So Brent, he's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because I think the idea was to ramp up honey production in bye-bye, and then, I don't know, get rich like everybody else, right? Become the honey baron. No, he doesn't really have that kind of a personality. Brent is actually a very humble guy, a God-fearing man. So if you go into his channel, that's what you're going to see. You see what you get. And of course, thanks to Mike and the chance happening meeting of Brent in the U.S. Embassy at Dunkin' Donuts, we've met, and I could tell you that what you see is what you get with a guy like Brent. Very humble, God-fearing man, and I mean, can't see how anybody could meet him and then not immediately like him. He's just got one of those personalities. Well, anyway, the enemy is sure if you do not use the CPAP. Yeah, that's right. C. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, it's probably going to take 10 years off my life from not using the CPAP, which can't be such a bad thing because I gained 10 years by moving to the Philippines. A little of this, a little of that. Yeah, speaking of lifespan, I figure I've got 14 years. The average Herrera. So if you go to Social Security website, you can actually figure out, your own actuarials because they'll show you in there how Social Security figures out how long you're going to live. And so they're betting against me that I'll be out of this world by age 78. So I just turned age 66, and there's still a lot more fun to have, especially after I turned age 67. 67 is like, woohoo, party time. And so, I mean, I'm going to become a wild animal one day, 1 second after my 67th birthday. What's that, hun? I'm already a wild animal. Exactly, honey. No, you can't. We promised we would not discuss our sex lives on live YouTube channel. You better. Okay, all right. So now, okay, yeah, throw it in my face. That's just fine, Larice. Get me fired. Get me fired from the Duncan people. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, Jerry's very far from Houston. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured that, but I wouldn't know unless you actually told me. Uh, yes, of course it is because they put, that they just pour. First of all, Krispy Kreme is air with a little donut skin. That's number one thing you should know. It's just a big pocket of air filled with what? The glazed sugar that they put over the top. The glazed sugar. So now when you get the chocolate covered ones, the ones that are decorated, they have already been glazed with sugar. And then now they're putting more sugar on top by putting chocolate and then all the toppings that adults and kids love. Of course, that's the formula for success. The more sugar, the better, right? Soon to be Hobo Joe, yeah. Yeah, soon to be Hobo Joe. Yeah. Well, you never know how that might work out. You never know. You might get over here to the Philippines and then go crazy. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. People go nuts when they come over here. It's like being in a candy store. All bets are off. Yeah. So I realize that when I speak about certain things, Uh, so Edward Beck was chatting with them at 8:13 p.m. the day that he disappeared, shall we say, or the event happened, and apparently he didn't say anything to Edward D. Beck about falling out of the wheelchair or whatever happened. No, Ben. No, thank God I haven't been. I didn't even know they allowed my kind in your country. Yeah, I thought they only give guys like me like a 10-day visa if I want to visit, and then if I don't leave on the 10th day, they come looking for you. They send out those guys with the heavy artillery, looking for you. Yeah, I definitely am not allowed to stay. I know that. Stay, marry one of us. You're on the next ship out, buddy. Uh, so anyway, Dan, can I come in? Oh no, we're not doing. I'm not doing panel today. I'm doing solo to see how that goes today. I have trouble focusing, and then I have trouble focusing, and then getting my point out. And then when I go back and I review the live streams, it's just me saying a bunch of jumbled words that nobody can make sense out of, including me. What was I trying to do there? I look at the replays. I go, what the hell was I thinking? What was I trying to do there? Oh, yeah. Sometimes it comes to me and sometimes it doesn't. I realize I got to get it out what I'm thinking the first time. I'm a very poor communicator, I've discovered. And so I got to front load it and get my point out, absent of, even though it's interesting, even though people's comments and contribution are interesting and welcome, it seems a little bit better to moderate it, or it seems easier to moderate it here in the chat, for a whole bunch of different reasons, which you could figure out because a lot of you do live stream. Tim is saying I'm very moody at times. So I went back and Tim and I looked at your some of your YouTube videos where you're meeting with other YouTubers. How do you get them interested in meeting with you at like Tequila Reef and Denny's and around there? Do they call you up? Do they call you up, or do you seek them out? I'm just curious about that. Told the doctor, nope, on the statins. Good for you. Screw them. Screw them if they can't take a joke. Drink tons of orange juice, just like everybody else. Start a keto diet, like everybody else, and watch the blood cholesterol level lower. And then the doctor says, what? That's impossible. You're eating pig? And it's lowering your cholesterol level. They just don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it. They don't understand me. They just don't understand me. Mark, what's up? So anyway, I've missed a whole bunch of things that I as background. Most of you know me, especially if we met, but you don't really know me. The same way that I don't know Mac Daddy, or I don't know Larry. But Larry's been a little bit more open about sharing his background with us on his channel. But I wanted to open a door a little bit so you could see inside me. Oh no, close the door. Close the door. Slam that door shut ASAP. Ryder Adventure is here. No, but well, yes, it has something to do with that. So what happened was that they're still counting income against my social security because I'm too lazy to call them up and tell them I'm no longer receiving the income. So underneath that the rule of Social Security, so until you turn age 67, they have a formula for how much money you can make per year. They still have me. They're still paying me as though I'm making the maximum. I'm making, the same amount of money that I was making in my transition year. And so I started thinking about it, going, what to do. And I decided that it was too much of a headache to let them know that I'm not making this money. And I'll let it adjust itself out on its own once I turn age 67, which will likely result in an increase in benefit payment. Well, it won't, most likely. I know for a fact that it will. So Laurie says hello, Miss Minnie. She heard you in the background. She says hi.
Hi, Louise.
Hello, Larice. She was just talking about you, Larice. No, she wasn't. She wasn't talking about you that way, She was saying how beautiful of a woman Larice is. I was agreeing with her. That's all. I was agreeing with her. You have to be careful. Your wife is the one that's supposed to say those things. You're not allowed to talk like that. As a man, her man, I'm not allowed to say things like that. Edward D. Beck said he said he fell and he didn't get up. He didn't get help. But I was at a meeting and I'm on the board, so I couldn't chat with Leonard. Yeah, it turned out to be a little bit more serious than we thought. But there's a thing called 911. Even when you're on the floor If you're able to chat, that means you have your cell phone in your hand. And so it'll be interesting when we get to a chance to talk to Leonard about what happened. And I'm sure that's going to happen, what the thought process was, because I know what it is for me. I know what it is for me. And that is that, you're something weird happens, especially if you're a man. This might be a gender thing. It might be a gender thing. But if you're a man, you're not going to be, calling for help. Help, I can't get up. Help me. Call 911, And all these people have to break the door down into your house and help you back up off the floor into your chair and stuff like that. Make sure you're okay. But that is the very thing that you should be doing. The number one thing for taxpayers in the U.S. was public safety and public health. That's their job, is to come to your aid when events like that occur. But if you're a man, you find it hard to make that phone call. You find it hard to pull that trigger. That's me, and maybe that's what happened to Leonard. I'm not sure. Oh, they're the ones who invite me to meet them. That's nice. That's nice. It's nice that they know you exist in the world. It would flatter me. No one ever calls me and says oh yeah, well, I mean, yeah, of course, Mike, Hey Joe, and a few others have said, yeah, we want to meet you, Dan, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that they want to meet up. I always chatted with Leonard every day. And I always chatted with Leonard every day, all day long. So nothing seemed out of place. So, yeah, you would become blind too, because what's in there you do not want to see. It's such an ethereal thing getting older. For all you youngsters out there, it's difficult to relate because you're focusing on one or two different things, right? Raising your families would be a key thing. Where you're going to be working, where you can earn money in order to get food to put on the table, that's going to be a key thing. No one's thinking about, oh, I'm growing older. Mini snow's here. Mini snow. What do you know? You're not going to be thinking about growing old until you wake up one morning and the kids have all gone off to do what they're going to do, and then you're relying upon them for support. Then you're going to be going, oh, I'm old now, and so it creeps up on you very unexpectedly. Now that may not be your experience, Larry, because of your living situation. I have plenty of people around me that would be able and willing to care for me in the event that something happened to me. Most of them are here in the Philippines. They're not over in the USA. But I mean, that's beside the point, by the way. I'm just saying that it's ridiculous for not seeking out the help when help is available. But yet here I am, and I just confessed to you that I've done it. That's exactly who I am. So that's why Man Minnie, she sticks to me like glue. You'd have to take a crowbar to pry her off me some days. Yeah, but it will be taxable. Yeah, well, my whole thing is taxable, and the reason is because it's, they have income ceilings, income brackets the same way as if you go over a certain amount, the first 1/3 is untaxable. However the thing works, the first 2/3 is untaxable. It's based on your income, how much money you make. And so if I were working on that $1,600 or $1,700 per month, the whole thing would be non-taxable income. So yeah, it's horrible. The whole thing's horrible. And by the way, I checked on this. Yeah, men don't like asking for help for anything. Well, in general, right? Generally speaking, that's me. And it sounds like it might be you too, Tim. Tim, you also have help though if you need it hanging around there. So I mean, you have your driver that comes over, shoots the crap with you. Just having somebody around in case something happens, that's a huge thing. That's a big thing, you know. So let's see. It's bad enough that you have it. Well, you want the driver there though. If some emergency or some event occurs, you got your driver there. He's a young, strong, healthy dude. I've met him. He wouldn't let you, you know, crawl around on the floor like a fish out of water. Yeah, and I was going to mention that. So it's also based on what state you live in. So now I found this out, Larry. It's not going to surprise you that that this is so, but because, and I mentioned it before, but now I have the definitive truth because I went into the Franchise Tax Board website and I read the rules. I read the tax rules, and guess what? If the income is derived in the state of California, it means it comes from there. You can never be a non-taxed non-resident. See, you can never be that. It's always going to be taxable from the day until the day I die. And even after I die, man, Minnie is going to have to pay the tax on the income also. So that sucks. And so I cannot, the only way they said that I could get out of it is I have to renounce my U.S. citizenship. Well, that's a really stupid thing. I mean, if you renounce your U.S. citizenship, the next thing that happens is you get a letter from Social Security saying you are no longer a U.S. citizen. So therefore, we're not paying your Social Security payment any longer. So you don't have a tax problem. You don't have any income coming from the United States. Shah Ram is here. Thank you so much for giving of your time and being here in the live stream. So that's what we're talking about. So I'm stuck. So there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, I make a decent income. I think most people know that. You know, but through no fault of my own. Yeah, really it was. Oh, Mike, I wanted to address something that Mike. Uh, I don't have a bone to pick with Mike, by the way. Uh, Mike married to a beautiful woman. So, Mike, when I say things like this is one of the things I have a problem getting out in the live streams when I have a panel. It's one of the reasons why I want to come and do this solo because I want to address certain things, right? So, Mike, when I say that, when I say things like, lines like, what rich represents and what wealth represents, you know, a lot of the stuff that I'm saying is tongue in cheek. I don't think it's lost on you that I say a lot of things tongue in cheek, but the bigs really are taking over the West, and they'll have a harder time. They're going to have a harder time taking over business in the East for a whole bunch of reasons, right? The bigs are controlling almost every industry in the West. They control the banks, they control the media, they control defense contracting. The bigs control pharmacy, uh, production, and supply of medications. And there are companies coming in there like Amazon and other companies that Mark Cuban started his own online pharmacy. They're doing fantastic, but they're also presenting the image that we're the discount um, pharmacy. But you can't be. You see, and the reason why you can't be is you have to cut deals with the pharmacy manufacturers themselves. So the way you cut deals is you end up go if you're Amazon Jeff Bezos, you end up going to one of the big pharmacy houses like Pfizer, and you cut a deal with them saying, "Hey, I could probably increase your sales by $10 billion a year, if you give me access to Viagra, let's say." I'm just saying, and so they say, "Show us on paper what that would look like." And so Amazon gives them a presentation, demonstrates how their product can reach people that Amazon can reach people that otherwise wouldn't even pay attention to some of these drugs. People are saying now that Viagra is a recreational drug, which may be true because I understand they're considering selling it over the counter now. But still, all those moves. But the way they market it is, we could save you money if you buy from us. We're the anti-big pharma, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And so they basically were enslaved in the West to a certain 4, 5, 6 organizations or companies, corporations, no matter what. And then you start looking around here in the Philippines. Does the money pharmaceutical companies make not lead to more development and more drugs? Oh, yes, but I'm not critiquing necessarily. I'm not critiquing the pharmaceutical companies necessarily in the way that you may think. I'm just pointing out that the way they're marketing the drugs is trying to make you think that there's a cheaper way to go. More discounts to be had if you buy from us, Mark Cuban and/or through Amazon. And it couldn't be further from the truth. They're all playing the same game. And so the whole thing is, whether the profits that they make go to improve pharmaceuticals or to develop other therapies to keep you alive for another 10 extra years while strapped to a gurney. If all that is true, that's fine. I don't have any complaint about that. But what I'm addressing is the smoke and mirrors approach. What I'm addressing is the smoke and mirrors approach to the way they try and market you products. So I would rather somebody just tell me the truth. Tell me the truth, and then let me decide if I want to do business with you based on that truth. What's wrong with that? You'd be surprised how people would react. Oh, yeah, because I said in my last live stream that I don't mind being enslaved so long as all my needs are being met. And I mean that. It's absolutely the truth. Most people would accept that. Most people would accept that philosophy or that ideology. By the way, you should look at me more as being a philosopher than an intellectual. Yeah, if you think about it, I'm more presenting philosophical thought. It's stuff for you to ponder. I'm not presenting undeniable truths and insisting that my way is the way to go. I gave you the disclaimer right in the very beginning saying that you shouldn't be listening to me. If you listen to me and put anything into practice, it'll turn your world upside down. You'll never be the same. You'll end up running away to the Philippines with a young Filipina. Your life will be ruined forever. USA and New Zealand are the only 2 countries in the world that pharmaceutical companies are allowed to advertise on TV. Oh, I think that's true. I think I did read that somewhere. And so countries in the past have tried to do their best, like in the UK, to regulate things so that they're not sensationalized. But it's creeping into even to their cultures and societies. And one of the great things about the Philippines that where there's hope is that the Filipinos don't spend a whole lot of time. They spend a ton of time on social media. This is where they're going to get you, but they spend very, very little time watching TV. I'm talking about regular commercial television. So they're gonna come at you, Filipinos, but they might come at you in a slightly different way. Yeah, exactly. Schrodinger's Dan. And do you understand how that works, right? That's exactly who I am, by the way. You figured it out, Ben. That's why I like you. You figured it out. As a matter of fact, most of the people have figured it out that come in here in the chat. But then for some reason they don't vocalize it. There could be 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different reasons for that. But basically, yeah, I believe that the past, the present, the future, they happen all at the same time. And if they do, that would mean that we're here and we're not. We were here and we were never here. You're listening to me speak in the past, the present, and the future. I mean, it's, it takes a while for your brain to accept this type of philosophical viewpoint, which basically means that we never die, for which we were never really alive. See, now, do I believe that we're in a virtual reality television show? Do I believe that we're in a game, a computer? Does God exist? Of course, God exists. Of course. No, monsieur. Of course, God exists. If God exists to you, then God exists. See? And so I've talked about making decisions based on hearing the God voice. I say the God voice because I don't have any other way of describing it. What other descriptor would I be able to use, whether I believe in a God or not? I could say I heard the voice, and then the people in the white jackets are going to come for me, and they're going to medicate me heavily. You need to be medicated. It's for the public good. It's for your own good. You need to be medicated. See, so if I didn't believe that the past, the present, and the future all occur at the same time, that I would not have been able to fold the universe into the world that I wanted it to be. So ponder that. Ponder that. Because the world basically turned out to be what was in my imagination, what I'm viewing today, right now in this chat, is what I imagined it to be. Go figure. I always think the great trick the West plays is that we are slaves to the dollar, but they keep our standard of living high enough to keep us from revolt. They keep us right there, right there. But there are other things to get enjoyment out of life. Than you can. Yes, if you, for example, if you accept. I mean, that is the key. Quite frankly, the secret is you have to give them enough, and this is the reason why I believe that universal income or living income, some people are calling it, is coming our way. And that the easiest way to distribute a living income is to get everybody used to using Gcash or PayPal or some other digital wallet, and then convert all your currency over to make believe money. Honey, where's that make believe money? The where's that thing we bought that has the fake money in it? Is that around here someplace? Yeah, so this caught my attention, right? So we're in the toy stores, and I see this. Can you open it out of the package so I could share it with them? And so I see this, right? All right, so here is a cash register drawer. And you could view this as being society wanting to teach you about money. But let me ask you a question, which is all fantastic. I love this idea. Why why are they going to teach you how to use American dollars in this toy as opposed to Philippine pesos? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I think about. This is the kind of thing that catches my attention. This is akin to what I was talking about in fast food, where you go in there and now after you order in the McDonald's or the Jollibee, they say, "Oh, I just want to let you know that there will be a 20-minute wait for your food because we have to get the grab guy service first." Hold the phone. Wait a minute. Why would you have to service the grab guys first? I'm here, standing right here in front of you, hungry, wanting to eat, wanting to grace you with, give you, honor you with my hard earned money. right? I have it in my hand, and you're going to make me wait, and you're going to service the grab guys first. Well, of course they're going to do it that way because they're going to make it as inconvenient as they possibly can for you to get your food, so that next time you won't walk in the front door. You'll call grab first, and then you're going to pay a premium for the food. You're going to pay more money than you would if you walked through the front door, but you're going to get it quicker. Has anybody ever thought of that? So yeah, but it's American dollars, see. This is really, it's not the game that they're teaching you how to be a 7-Eleven store clerk. That's really not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is the play money that they give you are reproductions of American dollars. That is strange in a Filipino toy store. And so a little kid comes along and wants to buy this toy. They want to buy this toy. Why? They look at the money. They know this is money. Kids are smart. They know this is money, but somehow, some kind of way, they're training them for something other than just counting cash. They're counting cash in American money. Does anybody not? Does anybody get what I'm saying, or get where I'm going with this? Do you even question the reason why things happen? That's my whole point. I always think how obesity is now a poor people problem in the West. 100 years ago, obesity was for the rich. There's a reason they called gout the king disease. Yes, white bread, eat it till you're dead. But it's an obesity epidemic here in the Philippines, and that's scary. That's scary. So I see the same people in Jollibee, since I'm there, and I'm a keen observer of the human condition. I will actually see, I'll pay attention to who's coming in there and spending money in the Jollibee and McDonald's. I see the same people in there having breakfast every morning, and that's their pattern. They come do, just like Dan. Of course, this is not new for Dan. Dan always had breakfast at the McDonald's in the morning. For as many years as I can remember, this has been my pattern of behavior. I know it's sad, it's sick. You know, if I knew how many millions of dollars I spent in the McDonald's buying Big Macs, breakfast sandwiches, and the like. And then so I weigh 200 pounds, 202 pounds now to be exact. Right? Because I go into McDonald's every morning and I eat fattening food and it makes me fat. I eat too many carbohydrates, it makes me fat. Right? So, but I see the same people in there every single day. Well, where in the hell are they getting the money from? This brought me to the conclusion that, hey, I've got 2 or 3 different audiences here. And I've been sending messages back and forth to Larry and Ed and a few others. I've got a dilemma here because the majority of my audience is Filipino. I have very, very few people from the West, maybe 6 or 8% that watch this channel. But one thing I do have is I have a subscriber base where 80% watch this channel consistently. 80% of Filipinos watch this channel consistently. So I have a dilemma because some of them are city dwellers and some of them are from the province. And so how am I appealing? So I started thinking to myself, how am I going to appeal to all the audiences, the Filipinos living in the province versus the ones living in the city? Because, you're going to find probably a higher obesity rate. I'm just taking a wild guess in the city versus the province. And so I tend not to speak to everybody. I'm just speaking to what I'm seeing in my neck of the woods. So I have to qualify that and make that qualifying statement saying, this is what I'm seeing in Lahug, Cebu, the city. It may not be occurring the way that it is here in the province. It's a difference. But you guys hang in there with me, for some reason. Apparently, if bread from USA was sold here in New Zealand, it would have to be classified as confectionery candy because of the amount of sugar. Whoa, that is heavy duty. That is heavy, heavy duty. That's what they do to us in the West. But because of the influence of the, the West on the Philippines, this type of stuff is actually also happening here. Krispy Kreme donuts, for example. Sad to say, people stay poor here because of their wrong way of living. It could be that, or it could be also lack of opportunity. Naomi, it's lack of opportunity. But are poor people skinny? I'm connecting the dots. Are poor people? Is there a direct relationship between people being poor and then people being skinny? Because they're only eating one meal per day or two meals per day, they're not getting the caloric intake that they need in order to even survive and be healthy. Minimum daily requirements of vitamins and calories. But I haven't noticed it here in the city. And in the province, in Bye Bye City Leyte, it's developing so quickly that it'll make your head spin. It's starting to look like Dumageddon. I don't even understand why it's happening that way, because Leyte is not people's first choice to go and move to. Leyte is not the first choice for most people because it's in the hurricane, the path of the hurricanes, the typhoons, the tornadoes, whatever you want to call them, typhoons. So they usually come across and they hit Leyte and Samar, and then Cebu is going to be in the typhoon shadow. Cebu is going to be in the shadow of those islands, and so it's the severity of the storm is going to be curtailed once it hits Cebu, and so maybe that's partly why Minnie and I are here. Is because we get slammed with nasty weather in Bye Bye, although it hasn't been nasty this year, by the way, so far. And then Cebu gives us a little bit of a break. And it's very, very convenient. Dan, this is for any American Social Security recipients living in the Philippines. Did you get your dead or alive? No. That's because I'm not a resident officially of the Philippines. I'm a resident of California. I'm forever a resident of California. So they don't send you a letter in California because they got coroner system there. And the coroner notifies Social Security. They're the first people they notify that Dan has passed away. And so as long as I go back to the United States and I spend a month or two there every couple of years so they know that I'm still alive, and I punch the ATM machine, I make a few calls on my cell phone, they know that I'm there. That's pretty much how it's done. And how do I know this? It's because in Bye Bye at the Dunkin' Donuts, I got into a conversation with a guy who's been living in Bye Bye for the better part of 7 or 10 years, and he told me as long as you maintain that address in the States as your residence, they're never going to send you one of those letters. And here they notify the embassy, and the embassy notifies Social Security that you have passed away. So, but here they require that letter. I'm not sure. Maybe it's because a lot of people they die here, and they're people that have overstayed their visas, and it's another way of tracking you. Tracking you in your movement. I understand that. I really understand why they require the letter. So, but I did ask that question. Skinny, I eat a lot, but can't gain weight. That's because you're eating stupid stuff, crystals, like vegetables and things like that, things that are good for you. Listen, I didn't notice you shoveling crap in your mouth, not once. Maybe in the Jolly Bean, even then you didn't do it. You're what we call a thoughtful eater. Everything that you look at, you think about before you put it in your mouth, Crystals. That's what I notice about you. Poor but very healthy in appearance, not knowing the risk they put. Unhealthy way of eating. Yeah, yeah. Obviously, Naomi, good point. So the whole thing is that for example, one example, and I've given it before. The rice that you eat is not your grandparents' rice. Are you following me? It's not the same rice. Okay, it's not the rice that they harvested and then they cooked up for their meals. It's a different rice. Does not have the nutrients in it that it used to. It's dangerous. It's pretend rice. You have to be careful with it. And also you have a high metabolism. That would be the other reason. But mostly it's because you eat green leafy vegetables and the like. I'll bet you that there is not a single day that goes by, Crystals, for you that you do not eat green and leafy vegetables. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that I'm wrong. But nobody has any comments about this. American money in the toy stores in the Philippines. And so now they're teaching your children what American money is all about. All right, so I said in one of the live streams, I said that said a whole bunch of stuff, why a lot of things in the West don't make a whole lot of sense. And one of them was, I'm not doing this to rehash, I'm doing this to clarify. So a business venture for me is buy a property and warehouse people and develop passive income. That is a business for me that makes sense. And we may do it. We may do it for Man Mini. I mean, you buy a hotel, you convert the rooms over into bed spacer, you charge a reasonable price to house people, to warehouse people, and uh, and you have guaranteed passive income. In the States, this is becoming a reality. We have a lot of institutional investors that have gone in, taken my money that I've invested with their company, and they've loaned it out. They've loaned it out through, sometimes it's known, sometimes it's hidden, to these corporations that go out there and they'll buy 10 or 12 houses from in a residential neighborhood, taking them out of play. And they'll assign their own management team to rent out the individual rooms. So they've gotten away a little bit from renting out the whole house at one time because they figured out, rigged? Did I almost say they figured out they can make more money if they distribute the risk amongst several different people in the same single family home. So now I've noticed that they've changed in the state's housing law in order to accommodate this type of a living situation, which means that they've changed zoning laws in a lot of cities to allow this to take place. So millennials, a lot of them, it isn't that they don't want to own a home. They do. It's they can't afford to buy one because the value of the house exceeds what they can qualify for in terms of a mortgage. So what they've done is, and also there's another reason, part two. Part two is because they're nomads, they become nomadic. And so they like the idea of also, Larry had mentioned, it's because I don't want to own a house because it ties you down. So Larry's a little bit ahead of his time because the Generation Xers, the millennials, feel the same way. They say, okay, I can't afford a house, but I want to go to where the money is. And so that I'm going to become nomadic. I'm going to become a nomad. And so all these institutional investors who have gone out and taken these houses out of play for others to buy, They take them out of play. It actually drives up the price of the house up. But then they do this. They play into the current demographics and they rent the rooms out. They rent the rooms out and the millennials look at it and they go, this is hassle-free living. I'm the luckiest guy on the planet. I could rent a room here for $500 or $600 per month, which is 1/3 of what it would cost me to rent a 1-bedroom apartment. I got my privacy. I got shared kitchen. I have all the utensils. I have shared utilities, and it makes for hassle-free living for them because they're able to afford to go out, do all the things they need to, and have a nice, happy life without having to worry about being able to having to worry about dedicating, as Ed had said as Mac Daddy had said in a previous live stream, 50 or 60% of their monthly income towards paying a mortgage or rent. And so they like it. But now why would guys like me like it also? Why would I like it? I like it because as everything starts to contract, as the economy starts to contract in the USA, which it is, I mean, you can deny that, saying, "Oh no, it's expanding." No, it's contracting. This isn't the Philippines where it's expanding. This is the U.S. where it's contracting. You know, consumers aren't going out there. If they're not buying houses, they're not buying refrigerators, television sets. By the way, I saw a 98-inch screen. You know, it's like virtual reality. You know, it's like you're living. It's like you're living inside the television set. I loved it. Anyway, setting that aside, we like it, oldies, because we don't have to dedicate 50% of our income towards the rent either, especially if we're on Social Security. So it's serving multiple generations all at the same time. See, it's serving a whole bunch of people all at the same time. All these folks that need a place to live. And also, here's another thing that the power leader doing in the West. They're convincing you that you could live in a smaller space. And I love the idea because people in the Philippines live in a smaller space. One reason why it works so well in the Philippines is because they don't live indoors. Life happens outdoors in the Philippines, not indoors. Chris says people depend more on grab foods now, find it convenient, but not knowing that later effects on them. Yeah, poor health, and an empty wallet. So I was reading an article yesterday. I'm going to share with you in a moment. Ben says my favorite saying: strong men create good times. Good times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. And it's a cyclical, and we're in good times in the West. Bottom line is that you're right about that. The bottom line is that we've gotten used to, you know, what's been going on. They've been selling us crap and we've been eating it. And so there you have it. You know, they sell it to us, we buy it, we eat it. I'm full of crap, but I'm happy. I don't have to go out in there and work. I mean, if you think about it, it's ridiculous how my life works. It's really ridiculous. You know, you guys come here and you see Man Minnie and I enjoying our life, walking around, going, not wanting for anything, going around, having 2 places to hang our hat. One here in Cebu, one in Baguio City, Leyte. I'm talking about getting a place in the north, which probably will happen. It's bending. Opinion is bending in my favor. Let's just say. Man Minnie is buying into the idea. And you look at it and you go, oh, this is fantasy. And it is. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. It is fantasy land. It's fantasy land. It's not reality. It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy that it's a fantasy world that we live in, that I personally live in. And so it's my own reality. In other words, if tomorrow the United States went broke, you know, life will change for me the way that I've known it to be. It will change overnight. All of a sudden, the Social Security check does not come in. It does not land in the bank. All of a sudden, my other government pension check disappears. The fund went broke. It can happen in the blink of an eye. So is that reality or fantasy? It's a little of both. It's a little of both because it's hard to imagine that it actually will happen. But I think about it almost at least once a week. I think about it more often than I should be because it does consume a lot of time to be pondering these things. But again, I'm philosopher, Dan. I'm more of a philosopher than an intellectual. Obviously, obviously I am. Okay, when I say stuff like um, people enrich your lives, not money. And then I say, well, that's what the rich people want you to believe. That way you'll be happy with having people around you as opposed to money. That line that I just said there, I'm saying it tongue in cheek, all right? Meaning that I'm halfway joking about it. You have to understand the differences between rich and wealth. They're two different things. Rich is being enriched by people, places, and things you have around you. And then wealth is material wealth. It's okay if you're content with your life. It's okay to be content. The only thing I'm trying to point out, it has a little to do with what was just said, what was just pointed out, and that was that you can get used to your social condition. You can get used to where you are in life. You can become complacent, and that's okay if that's who you want to be. If you're happy with your life and you're complacent, you're satisfied with all that you have, then that's perfectly fine. There's no need to change your social condition. There's no need. But a lot of people, they're very, very poor and they're very, very needy, and they should not be, in my humble opinion, they should not be content with that social condition. They should be doing the best they possibly can in order to improve the lives and the lives of their family. But if that means that you become dependent on occasion to wealthy YouTubers who are sharing their blessings with you, then that's perfectly fine with me also, because that's how the world works. In other words, it's the circulation of money that keeps the world going around. It's the circulation and sharing of the wealth, not the hoarding of the wealth, that makes the world go round. And so I want to share an example. Uh, it's very yeah it's a very it's a very it's a simplification, and probably is not even true the way that I perceived it. So there, I gave you another qualifying statement. What I'm about to say is just garbage for you to ponder. It has no more value than that. But think about this. You have Bill Gates. You have Bill Gates, who built this company called Microsoft, right? And so you can't do any kind of business anywhere in the world without having to do business with Microsoft. Then all of a sudden, right, this happens. They start filing lawsuits against Microsoft. They start filing hella lawsuits for antitrust, anti-trade, anti-everything. And these lawsuits are being filed by the European Union. They're being filed by the U.S. federal government, uh, communications, trade, by your grandmother. Hell, I'm suing Microsoft. Everybody and their mother and their grandmother are suing Microsoft for things like antitrust, anti-trade, violating the law by having a monopoly, right? And they kept going to Mr. Gates and Melinda, and they kept saying to them, what would be ideal for you is for you to start a non-profit organization for the good of humanity. And he says, no, you can't come to me and tell me what to do with my money. And so they put the pressure on They sue, they sue, they sue. He starts spending millions of dollars of trying to defend himself in court, because that's how we roll in this here world. That's how we roll in the United States. Yeah, we may not be able to convict you of a crime, but we're going to cause you to go broke trying to defend yourself. So after they spend, I don't know, a few tens or twenties of millions of dollars, you know, uh, Melinda and Bill Gates finally get the message, right? They get the message that, oh, wait a minute, you can't have rich without poor, and you can't have rich without poor, and you can't have poor without rich, right? It's the yin and yang of the way the global system is set up. The global economy is set up. And so there has to be that balance. There has to be that balance in order for them to maintain their wealth. So they finally get the message after, I don't know, Bill Gates, he's like a rocket scientist. He's like a doctor. He's so intelligent, for crying out loud. He goes around and starts reading every book that he possibly can on the subject, and realizes that he goes back into antiquity and starts reading books. He starts reading book about alchemy and things like that. And he comes up and he has a revelation. That revelation is, I get it now. I get it. I have to circulate the money, and I can do that through my foundation. But I also, have to listen to them, and when they give me pointed directions, I have to follow them, and then they'll leave me alone. So they start the Gates Foundation. Next thing you know, all the lawsuits that were costing billions of dollars, billions of dollars in defense, they all go away. They're either dropped or they're settled. Can't eat without greenie. I'm becoming a cow. See, all of a sudden, all the people that wanted a piece of Bill Gates settled without court action. Agreements. We agree to drop this because of whatever. They were settlement agreements, because Bill Gates finally got the message and came to the party, started the nonprofit foundation, for which he's going to use in order to funnel money into the areas where there is need. Poor people in Africa, building wells, coming up with new ideas for generating electricity, all this other stuff, right? But is it to ensure that they'll have opportunity, or is it about keeping people further enslaved? That you'll have to decide. When they do nice things, like they give people free internet service and things like that, are they trying to give you opportunity or open up doors for you? Or are they trying to ensure that you'll continue to be poor? That's the question that I oftentimes will ask myself. That Troy just proves how Philippines depends on U.S. way of living, not promoting our own currency or product. Yeah, exactly. Huh. And so when someone says to me, hey, why do you convert your money from dollars over to Philippine pesos? Why do you do that? It's because it's the same. It makes no difference whether it's in Philippine pesos or dollars. It's the same. And I get more bang for my buck if it's in Philippine pesos. Because as we demonstrated when I asked Larry Lee the other day, I said, hey, Larry, how much is a cup of coffee? How much will 100 pesos cost you in dollar equivalent? How far will it go? And he said, well, it might buy you a cup of coffee. Well, it might, but I doubt it. It wouldn't buy you a cup of coffee at Starbucks, right? Do you think it would, Naomi? Do you think it would buy? You think that 100 pesos will buy you a cup of coffee at Starbucks in the Philippines or in the US of A? I think not. It ain't going to happen. But guess what? Guess what it buys? It buys an 8 peso cup of coffee here if it's converted into pesos. That's what it's worth. So this 100 pesos that we're giving away today, right? This 100 pesos, it goes further. It goes a long way. And so I'm not a fool. If I want a 10% return on my investment and I want it without having to lift a finger, all I have to do, Tobias, is convert my dollars to pesos, and I've already made 10% return on my investment of American dollars. If I want to lose money, I just convert it back. But I don't do that. So you see that we're having a great time. Will it last? Will it last? Will it last? I don't think so. That's only Dan's opinion. I just don't think so. And why is that? It's because I'm a very insecure person, if you haven't already figured that out. It's too nice of a time, and I just have that feeling, that belief that when you're having too good of a time, the other shoe is about to drop. The other nail is going to be hit by that hammerhead. So Crystal is saying, agree, sissy. Nomi, consuming imported products got you in an airy feeling, such as an egotistical way of living. I'm guilty one here. Well, I must say, after seeing, how you live your life, I was pretty impressed, Crystals. I must say that you're probably living a better life than most people in Pangasinan. You have figured out how to survive in this economy. And so there is a way. There's a way to do it. You scale things. You scale things to your benefit. I think one thing USA does well is celebrate being successful. Here we are humble and have the tall poppy syndrome, which is to cut someone down. They become too successful. Yeah, and I just don't get it. I just don't understand why it's that way. I don't. When I just don't. I just don't understand why it's that way. I've seen so many arguments occur, between people, and even here on YouTube, I've seen so much stuff going on that would seem so petty, and why get in any kind of, why does the crab mentality prevail? I just don't understand it. When Filipino in general, they're so nice, they're so loving, they're so caring, they're so respectful. As a matter of fact, the most respectful culture of people that I have ever encountered anywhere that I have ever lived. By the way, I was able to adapt to the Filipino culture quite easily, and I think it has to do with my background and upbringing, which I've talked about before. Beth is here. Thank you so much, Beth. I know I'm behind in the chat, but I say hello, welcome, and thank you for giving your valuable time and sharing it with us here in the stream. Ramses is here. Ramses, one of my favorite people in the entire universe. How are you doing, Ramses? I appreciate you giving your time and being here, my friend. Beth, you crazy cat. And Beth is crazy. Beth is so good about transferring enthusiasm, and very similar to Pacquiao Mertz in a way, which she can just light up her room and laugh, and she can turn something into really, really crazy funny. The simplest things, where you're laughing, you're just sitting there you're just laughing along with her, and sometimes it's just because of the laugh. Sometimes it's just because of the laugh. You're saying, oh, that's a funny laugh, and then you start laughing. That's your talent. That's your skill. Yeah, I wish I understood Filipino language, because I probably would be laughing at all your jokes. Larissa's hanging in there. Jalen Velaris is here. Velarisas is here. And good morning to everyone. Beth, good morning from Laris. So let's see, what else I want to talk about? Enough of that stuff, right? Enough of that stuff. I don't suffer from typhoons directly. I just get rain. Yeah, rain is a welcoming thing because it cools. That's why I love the Philippines, because it rains and it cools everything down so you can turn off the AC. That's all I care about. Yeah, I hate burning up AC unnecessarily. But if the humidity gets too high, then I'm just American, you know what I mean? I got to turn it on. I got to turn it on. Anyway, I was saying earlier, man, Minnie and I, we're packing it up. We're going to go spend a few weeks in Bye Bye City Leyte, enjoying the house, the sights, the sounds. We need to go visit our friends at the Dunkin' Donuts. Not the Krispy Kreme. They don't even have a Krispy Kreme stand, I don't believe. Oh, I take that back. I think I have seen it. I have seen them offer up some donuts somewhere at the Metro Market, maybe. And we understand that a section of the new mall that they built is open. We're kind of anxious to get back there to see what that's all about. They had some soft grand opening ceremony there. And so we're anxious to get back. Bye Bye City, it boggles the mind because it's looking a lot like uh, Dumageddon in a lot of different ways. So I say live your life as best you can. You may be dead tomorrow, and make your fantasy reality. Yes, that's how I try to lead my life. Thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth. This is my wish for all of you. Live your life the best way that you know how, because there is no tomorrow, or tomorrow has already happened, and it's today. So money cannot pick you up if you fall. Ha! Well said, my friend. Well said, my friend. It won't do you much good while you're down there, will it? It won't do you too much good while you're down there trying to figure out how to get up. Girly Sin is here. Yeah, so well said, Tim. But here's the whole thing, Let's bottom line what Dan is saying here, right? It doesn't hurt if you got a few bones to throw around. It doesn't hurt. That's what I'm saying. So I realize I objectified the play money, a lot today. Yeah. Make sure you get one of these for your kids. They'll need to know what the value of that is one day. Make sure you teach them about American money. There's a lot of it floating around here these days. But what I'm saying is there's no shame in being rich. There's no shame. It all depends on what you're doing with the money. But Bill Gates, he figured out that the more the money that he shares, the more the blessings that he shares, the more comes back to him. But I'm just saying that there's an evil plot afoot. That's the difference between the super rich and just the regular folks, the millionaire next door. So putting it all in perspective, I guess that I would be the millionaire next door. Tickles me to say that. So if you haven't read that book, you might try and pick that up and figure out what we're all about. But it's in Philippine pesos. If I went back to the States, I would be just fine. I still would be considered in the middle class if I went back to the States. Not even the lower middle class, the middle class. So let's be clear about that. I wouldn't be hurting even if I went back to the States. I think Tobias or somebody mentioned this in a prior live stream. You know, if I had to, I could go back to the US and go back to work because there's no shortage of jobs. There just aren't. Despite what people are saying, you know, or what you may have heard, there still are no shortage of jobs in the United States. You can work until the day you die, you know, if you so desire, but that is not the way it is here in the Philippines. In the Philippines, one of the scariest things, and Crystal's going to be facing this with her kids, you got to get them educated because they need the 4-year degree even to become a clerk at the 7-Eleven. That's where this comes in handy, right, Crystals? That's where getting your kids this would come in handy because you need that 4-year degree in order to become a clerk at the 7-Eleven. And so you encourage them to go in there and get training so they can get that job, become engaged and successfully employed. In the States, it's the opposite. They need more people to work. And so what ends up happening is, and mostly they're service oriented jobs, what ends up happening is that means that where there used to be restrictions on what age they would hire, even though they passed laws, against discriminating based on race, color, creed, religion, or age, it doesn't matter. Nobody paid any attention to those things anyway. They would find ways around them. Now, if the dancer went walking into the Dairy Queen and he said, "Hey, I know how to work that soft serve machine. I would like that job," they would say, "When can you start?" And I would say, "I can start now." And there would be no problem getting that job. That's just the way, that's the situation that we have going on in the States. Here, it's the supply of labor that keeps wages down and income down, household income down. And so, unfortunately, you're in a situation, it's going to take years, maybe even a generation of 40 years in order to overcome. Your wages are stagnant because you have a huge, huge availability of job ready labor and an educated workforce. And so it works against the Philippines when talking about elevating wages. It would take the government's intervention in order to get the wages so that they rise. And I believe that's happening here in the Philippines, but things happen slowly. Jaylyn, good morning, good morning, good morning. I thought Microsoft was my sex life. Well, of course, they're probably peering in and know everything about your sex life. So, but it's a good thing because they don't, they want you to enjoy your life and have sex with as many people as you possibly can. So Microsoft, they're very, very supportive and they don't discriminate, obviously. They're very welcoming and accepting, no matter, it doesn't really matter, not even if you want to have sex with animals, it doesn't really matter. They'll support you. So that's part of the thing. That's part of the thing. Shalenian blog is here. Team Judy. Thanks so much for being here. Mega love shout out. Yes, alchemy, Aristotle, Confucius. Yes, Stalin, Hitler. Those are others. Yeah, and other fascists. Oh boy, I'm having so much fun today. Yes, indeed. So, listen, I know how intelligent you guys are in this dream. I have a crew that is, you have a little bit of higher IQ. And so, you hang with me sometimes. You hang with me. Of course, I know I go off into left or right field on occasion, which makes you run away and take a break from me. But let's go on to something else I want to talk about. Let's talk about money. So, as many of you know, I like to share my blessings. I said that June was going to be a tight month for me. It was for a couple of different reasons, right? I wasn't going to be able to participate in many sponsored programs like I usually do. And I even have disengaged myself from a lot of people's channels, meaning that I were a channel member and then I had to bow out. My criteria for bowing out probably sucks, so I won't share it with you. But if I didn't bow out and I'm still supporting your channel, then we'll probably be married for a while. So that's a good thing, right? So if I didn't disengage myself from your channel, now there are only so much time in a day. I know some of you, you're working your channels all through the night because you're raising your family during the day. I truly admire you. But that's one of the reasons why YouTube is such an interesting and important venue. It's an important platform because people that you barely know will oftentimes they will share their blessings with you in a time of need. And there's always a time of need in the Philippines. And so the reason for giving out that 100 pesos every week is simply a sharing of my blessings to you. And oftentimes I'll get messages back that said, man, you don't realize how important this 100 pesos is to me, Dan. It's a true blessing. It's a true blessing. And they'll give me the reason why. Usually it'll have to do with I was 100 pesos short of paying my rent. I need 100 pesos more in order to buy the bag of rice. And it goes on. But anyway, it's not necessarily necessary at all to share the reason why it's important to you. As I pointed out many, many times before, once the money leaves my wallet, I generally will never think about it again. Nomi says it's your choice if you want to stay poor till you grow old. Life is too short to waste. It is your choice. But the Philippines, it works so well. It's not as stratified in terms of income as many different places that I visited or lived. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that you do survive well having two distinct classes of people, rich and poor, but you have an emerging middle class, and it's so easy to see. But oftentimes, it's not your choice to be poor more than it is your poor. It more has to do with lack of opportunity. See, and so, but if you choose to accept your social standing, your social condition, your economic condition, the way that it is nobody else's business except for yours. That's the whole thing. It's no one else's business except for yours. So, and if you're happy and that's your scale of enlightenment or enrichment, then that's what it is. See? And so when I speak tongue in cheek about those lines that I was talking about. I'm not stating it as a point of fact. I'm more stating it as a joke. Spend money not more on your wants, but more on your needs. And if more people would do that, and I'm talking about that all the time, except I don't lay it out and articulate it as well as you just did. And that is spend money not on your wants, but more on your needs. And that's why I'm an advocate of you staying away from things like anything that involves a money changer, you run the other way. So when they come to you and say, you can have this today, I'm talking about television sets, washer and dryer. All you have to do is sign here on the dotted line. Then you run like hell. You don't need it. You don't need it. You don't really need that. You're used to washing clothes by hand. You just tell them, thanks, but no thanks. But I saw where they're actually even doing this with food. They'll sell you a package. Kind of reminds me of Western Union when they got in the business of selling cheese plates, cheese brands, I think they used to call it. Right? And the next thing you know, they got to be too expensive. Then they started, or then you could order them. You could pay over 3 payments. Then you could pay over 6 payments. Next thing you know, the packages got bigger. They involve cheese and beefsteak and all these different things, right? And you could pay over 6 months, but I know the food wouldn't last for 6 months. And then I have to serve the interest payments on because I spread it out over 6 months. The food was 30 days worth of food, and I had to pay for it over 6 months and service the debt. I mean, oh boy, was that a party? And we have stuff like this happening every single day in the US of A, but now it's come to the Philippines because you are tasty consumers of this Western model. Tasty, tasty consumers of this Western model. If I self-pity just because I didn't finish schooling, that will cause me nothing. So I push myself into something. 6 kiddos depend on me, Sir Dan. Yes. And you have to do what you have to do in order to put food on the table for your family. That is first and foremost key. It's not taking the money, but you made a good point earlier. And I hope you don't mind if I share this excellent point. We're talking about, as Naomi said, and Crystal's concurs, we're talking about need-based borrowing of money, or need-based, not wants. And so it's different. Needs-based would be like this. Crystal's goes out and borrows money, bridge loan money, because she needs it in order to borrow to buy parts to get a motorcycle car up and running that she has a customer on standby for. Okay, so the customer said, listen, I'm committed to buying this motorcycle. I'm committed to buying this car. And Crystals and Mark, they're tasked with putting it in good order, good working order. They don't have money in order to go buy the parts, but they know they'll make hella profit if all they do is go out and borrow that 3,000 or 10,000 pesos in order to get this car or this motorbike up and running. That is acceptable. It's smart, not the other thing. It's very smart to do business that way. And so you get the bridge loan and it costs you a few points in interest, but you pay that money back as quickly as possible. Once the deal is done, the deal's done. That's smart borrowing of money because you know it's going to give you a return investment that is only going to be a short-term loan, a bridge loan, necessary in order for you to sell that vehicle or motorbike, get it in working order for which you can profit, and that profit exceeds the interest payments on the borrowing of money. Sorry for being so wordy on sharing that. There are simpler ways of saying it, but that is certainly allowed. See. You're welcome, Ramses. I admire you quite a lot. So I'm not saying don't be shy when it comes to doing stuff like that. Jack Hobson, I didn't know you had stepped in the chat. Yo, yo, yo. Yo, 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 Jack. Get your early morning libation. Actually, we're about, oh my gosh, we're already 2 hours into this. So I mentioned what an insecure person I am. Yeah, of course I am, you know. And so I see my insecurities also in some of you in the chat. In other words, I see myself being a mirror image of one or two of you in the chat are oftentimes so revealing that I could see that we have a lot in common. We're like thinkers. We have similarities, you know, but part of the similarities is probably that slight insecurity that we have when it comes to dealing with certain things. And Tobias is saying hello. Larice. We had a great time with Larice in Manila. That's a fun time that we should think about repeating. Don't let money control your life. You should be the one controlling the money. Exactly. Man, Minnie knows where every penny goes, but she didn't when I met her. She did not know when I met her, but she does know now. She knows now. Hardly a day goes by that I don't see Ma'am Minnie working that phone, working that calculator, balancing the budget, and making sure that we're in line. If we're gonna overspend, she'll tell me, hold the phone. We're about ready to go over the top, and then we could decide: are we going to allocate more money to this project, or are we going to bail on the idea? But she's the one that's in charge of balancing the budget around here, not me. Uh, yeah, I have a toy cache. She saw that toy at Galleria. Yeah, I think we're going to be at Galleria this week too, because we're going to head out to Bye City, which means we got to go to Pier 1. And so if we're going over to Pier 1 to take the bus out, the boat bus, we're going to be at the Galleria probably Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure. But does she want one of these? She could have this one. Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting toy. But she's welcome to have this. We can meet at the Galleria on Friday or Saturday. I think we might. I'm thinking about taking the Lapu Lapu out. I think that leaves what? Does that leave from Pier 1 or Pier 3? Friday night at 8 p.m.? I agree, Dan. The peso won't go up forever, so cash in those bucks and take that. Yes, exactly. You take the profit. You gotta leap. You gotta leap when you feel froggy. You know what I mean? When you feel froggy, you leap. Right, Tobias? And so you got to grab the gusto, but it's not only that, but you're keeping up with the rate of inflation, because I'm solid when I say that we make a 10% profit, we make a 10% return on investment the moment that we convert that money. And we don't even have to convert it at the current forex exchange rate. I'm using a figure of 52 to 1. And so you guys do the math. I don't care if you do the math, agree with me or don't agree with me. Do what you want. Do what you want to do. But I'm telling you that with the rate of inflation running at around 8% here in the Philippines and getting the benefit of the interest rates in the States, you're better off converting the money to pesos and spending it as quickly as possible. If you have it, you go out there and spend it. And spending it means, sometimes for me anyway, put it in perspective, sharing some of my blessings with you. James Robinson is here. Hi, Danime's Journey. I think I seen you on Philippine American couple live stream. I'm watching from California. Question: yes, we have visited Kenny Rogers Roasters in the Philippines, and I love the place. I love the place. We go there as often as we possibly can. I got turned on to it by a friend of mine, Jeff from Bye City, who said, you got to go there. We go there and you get low-calorie meals. You get low-cal meals, delicious meals, and there's nothing like it. Kenny Rogers, may you rest in peace, my friend. You did a good thing here by loaning your name to these restaurateurs who have built this spectacular business. Yeah, I'm a kid at heart, so I play with toys. I play with toys every day. Every day I'm playing with toys. I'm fascinated by them. I'm fascinated. Why did they invent this one? Why are they marketing this one? I mean, this is the Philippines. Why is this why are they selling us how to make change using American dollars? I mean, it's a cultural phenomenon. You have to pay attention to stuff like this when it happens. Jack says, hey, pay attention to stuff when it happens. Oh, yeah, so about the money. So now I think I've lost some of my audience. And I think, no kidding, Dan. Hey, the views are good. The hours are great. I'm getting excited. I'm getting really excited. It's not about monetization. It's not about that. It's more about the competitiveness of it. to get the watch hours over the top, to get the views over the top. I mean, you guys are assisting me with hitting spectacular watch hours and spectacular views. I mean, I must be catching the attention of somebody because I keep getting the emails from YouTubers who are doing way better than me, and they're saying, "Hey, Dan, we want to collab. We want to collab." I mean, there are names that you would recognize, And then I sit there and I smirk. I smirk like this. Hey, that would be nice. I know I should be doing it, but I know. Having an education is everything around the world, but you need to be happy in your job, right? And I was miserable. And so, but I cannot say that I wasted 25 years of my life by working there, because there were periods of happiness that depended on what kind of job I was doing that kept me going. So now about this 100 peso giveaway. Let's talk about that because I want to address it because we're heading into my live stream is over the 2-hour mark. What? I actually was able to handle this for 2 straight hours and not run out of things to say. That's friggin' amazing. All right, but people have critiqued me saying, Dan, you're a one-trick pony. You're a one-trick pony, Dan. All right, so too many loops to jump through to get a job in the Philippines. Medical, to get a job, to be a call center agent, and you pay for it. Yep, I understand this. I understand that, Mike. Absolutely true. No. We were. I suppose I did mention something about animal sex somewhere along the line. You know what's showing up on Facebook? Why do I keep... People are saying, Dan, you must be watching pornography if they're tagging you in those nasty Facebook channel, those reels where they're showing the birthing of animals, where they're showing a dog enjoying, sniffing out his owner's crotch. I don't know exactly what all is going on. I've seen a few videos. I'm just saying, I'm not going to lie to you. I've seen a few videos. Danny Major, I don't know why the Philippine government has a hold on citizens not to let them go abroad free for a better life. Well, actually, it's becoming easier for Filipinos to go abroad. The United States is partly responsible for that because they're lifting restrictions on certain visas. On certain visas, they used to put a lid on them, and now, like for medical, for nursing and doctoring and those things, and they used to put a limit on how many visas that they would issue per year. And from what I understand is they're lifting that. They have or they are lifting it. And so a friend of ours, within 90 days, they were from Bohol to New York. Yeah, they went from Bohol to New York as a registered nurse in 90 days. That's how fast the visa process was. So I think they're loosening things up a little bit. One reason why they control it to the degree they do is because they're just protecting the citizenry. They're just protecting them because there's a lot of abuse that goes on overseas. They're worried about things like human trafficking. Yeah, but we don't have to worry about Trump because Trump knows that he's the deal spoiler. He's the election spoiler this next time around. He won't leave, nor will he be elected. That's my prediction. But he needs to be there in order to split the ticket. He needs to be there to ensure, number one, that we don't have a particular Republican win. That's number one, and that we don't have a particular Democrat win. That's the way that I see it. And so who knows? I'm just a human being, watching things from afar, and I critically evaluate. I try not to take sides, even though I do have a side to take. Oh, thanks so much. That's such a huge compliment, Naomi. In other words, I try not to immediately make critiques. I try and reserve judgment until I gather up all the facts. I do my best. I ponder things for a long time. Trump knows damn well. And you know what? But will he spend even one day in prison? I kind of doubt it. I think the fix is already in. I mean, that's how we roll in the U.S. of A. You know, I mean, do we really elect a president, or does it? Are they chosen? I mean, it's up to you to decide uh, based on available information. You know. Oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. So Edward Beck is, come on, Dan, spit it out. What's going on with the 200? Did I say 200? Oh my God, I just gave it away. Okay, no. One person is getting 100 today. But listen, here's the thing. I think that I need to randomize this thing um, because we're just about everybody has won, and so we need to come up with a way of randomizing it. You know, so that there's either assign you a number, a permanent number that remains with you, and then we put it all into the hat to pull out once per week. And then once you win, you go back into the hat. In other words, you shake it up, and if you win again, so be it. But if I start calling out, it puts people in a tough position. Even though they haven't told me this, I could feel it. I could sense it. Puts me in a tough position to call out names or to have someone else call out names, because somebody along the line is gonna think that it isn't fair. And so I agree and I understand this. And it may have cost me some viewers even because I do it this way. So we need to randomize it. And one thought that I had is each person in the chat that comes in here would be assigned a number. Like Crystal, obviously you would be number one, right? Crystal's adventure is number one. So she would end up going in there, right? Let's say Anna May or Larice or somebody would be number 2 and 3. And so and that's your permanent number. And you have to be present to win. And so all I do is go in there and pull the number out of the hat. And then I could also post the list and what your number is online so that you can view it at any time so you know what your number is. Or I could just contact you through Messenger and say, you've been assigned this number. That would be a much fairer way of doing this, if you agree. You have to tell me whether you think it's a good idea or not. You know, that's the thing. You have to tell me, share with me whether it's a good idea or not. All right. So, but for this chat, I decided I'm going to give away. I'm going to have 2 100 peso winners. And so early this morning, I told Mammy I have to go down and load up my Gcash account, which I've done. So I can give away 200 pesos because I was getting down there. I don't even think I have had money in there. And because I just want to give away 200. And I was about ready to say we're gearing up. More money will be available for sponsorships in July. All right, because we're coming into July. The budget is loosening up a little bit for July for the Danster. I've gotten a few crazy things out of my system. And so now all you have to do is submit a request through Messenger for me to consider for sponsorship. Up the peso giveaway to 5. And I have thought about your suggestion. And I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. That's the other thing. You know, I'm not sure the way to do it is 100 pesos, but if I up it to 500, you know, I might get more bang for my buck out of that, so to speak. All right. So I'm giving away 200 today. There's no Ed, you're hella funny. There's no SUV giveaway. You need to stop spreading that rumor because I'm getting hundreds of emails saying, how do I get into this contest? So no, there's no SUV giveaway, folks. So stop sending me messengers and emails asking me about the giveaway. Just from the love. Yeah. So I am considering your suggestion, Tobias. I don't want you to think that I listen. You know, I pay attention. And so, but yet I want the responsibility to fall on my shoulders. And not not burden somebody else with it, because I've had a few people say, Dan, I could do this for you. I know you can. I love you for offering it up. Thing is, I feel guilty about it because you are so freaking busy. You're so busy with your life. You're so busy helping folks, all over the place, that I just feel guilty about taking away some of your valuable time to have to deal with my craziness. That's the whole thing. I can get really, really crazy. And Naomi, I'm glad you mentioned that, because you are the winner of 100 pesos, and also so is Menge. So I'm sending those 200 pesos out as soon as this live stream is over, which is going to be 10 or 15 seconds from now. So I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody in the chat. If I missed some of you coming in and acknowledging it. Yeah, Larry, you can send Mike money. James is saying, Danny Major, the countries of Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, and its citizens are similar to the Philippines. I know those countries don't have a high number of OFWs. Oh, you mean they're English-speaking country? Yeah, all that is true. Yeah, all that is true. I believe so. Let me just answer a few more. Naomi, when I land, I'm going to go to the slum areas and get a big Ziploc bag, fill it with rice and 100 pesos, and give away. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, Tobias, you let me know when that is, and I will be right there by your side. I'm telling you, I'll be right next to you doing the same thing. You let me know when you want to do that. So, and also, I'm going to get this. This is going to be yours also. We'll just have to figure out how to get it to you. But Minnie and I will be headed over to Galleria Friday or Saturday. It might be Friday evening, because we want to catch the Lapu Lapu at Pier 1 or Pier 3. I can't remember where we have to catch that bus. And I hope that there isn't a low pressure system that makes everything wavy. Yes, buy low and sell high. And that's what you're doing. Basically, you're buying American dollars and you're trading them for Philippine pesos. It helps to have just a little understanding of how the Forex exchange rate works, and how the Philippine government will adjust its interest rates accordingly in order to impact that number, as well as the Fed adjusting their interest rates in order to impact that number. It all has to do with controlling the money supply. Yeah, and if you can't sell high, remain high at the very least. At the very least, you got to remain high. Oh, one last thing. For the person that asked me why they won't legalize marijuana in the United States, I mean, why they won't legalize marijuana use here in the Philippines? Listen, I don't know. I think public sentiment on that is changing, but I'm perfectly happy being in a country where I don't have to smell the skunk weed. You know what I mean? I mean, the shake. You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying, right? I don't want to have to smell the shake. I don't have to smell the cheap stuff, And so I don't care. It's up to the Philippines to decide, right, whether they want to legalize marijuana or not. I know we're gonna get around to discovering what a freak you are very, very shortly, Mac Daddy, because we have plans. We have plans to do an online, and we're gonna get, pardon the pun, to the bottom of it. We're gonna get down and dirty. All right, Larry, are you here, Sir Larry? Sir Larry. Oh my goodness gracious! Nitban is here, and I miss Nitban. I should have been using my mobile phone in the chat, and I wasn't. I apologize if I missed you. Nitban gave me some very, very useful information. Oh, Nitban, you know, my next question to you is what is eSIM and how does it work? And if I'm here in the Philippines, can I get an eSIM? Because they do have eSIM here. Can I get an eSIM and can they burn my 916 number to it, even though Google Fi has it? So I'm taking it that you're not transferring the number from Google Fi, that you're just burning an eSIM card and then putting it in a dual SIM phone. So if I have this all wrong, if I didn't understand your message, then you let me know. So, okay, Larry has answered the call of duty. Remember, everyone, be kind to each other. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe and healthy. Plus, always try to have fun. And that takes us out of this live stream. Thank you once again for your time. I truly appreciate you dedicating that time and moving this channel forward. You guys, you're a special group of people, and I'm sending out that that Gcash right now. Once we're done here, which is in 10, 9, 8,